soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. soul so weary. When troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated as we welcome the graduating class of 2013. Please welcome valedictorian Aubrey Danielle Burton.
I am strong when I am on your shoulders.
Escorted by her parents, Steve and Susan Burton.
More than I can be.
Please welcome salutatorian Jordan Taylor Burton. Escorted by her parents, David and Cindy Burton.
You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy
Please welcome
seas.
Michael Anthony Davis.
I am strong when I am on your shore.
Escorted by his father, David Davis.
Raise me up to more than I can be.
Please welcome John D. Graham. Escorted by his parents, John and Kelly Graham. Please welcome Elton Devin Green.
When troubles come
Escorted by his mother, Ellen Green, and sister, Jade Green.
and I am still and wait here in the silence till you come.
Please welcome Brittany Nicole Hickson.
Raise me up
Escorted by her mother, Brenda Hickson.
on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong.
Please welcome Matthew Daniel Melfeld. Escorted by his parents, Kara and John Davis. Please welcome Judson Nathaniel Mobley. Escorted by his father, Jack Mobley, and grandmother, Karen Ellis.
You raise me up so I can stand on mountains.
Please welcome Scott Joseph Thomas.
To walk on stormy seas. I
Escorted by his parents, Dallas and Nancy Harrison.
on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Please welcome Ariel Lynn Villegas. Escorted by her parents, Angel and Glenda Villegas. Please welcome Jesse Allen Walker. Escorted by his parents, Frankie and Desiree Walker.
You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
You may be seated.
You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Please stand for the presentation of the colors, the pledges, followed by our national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag I pledge allegiance
Thank you, thank you. Please remain standing. Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer, if you will. Father God, we thank you for this day and for allowing us to breathe your air. We're thankful to you, Holy Spirit, for the sustaining power that you give us daily. God, you've not only brought these seniors to this point in time, but you will be what continues to carry them into their future. We pray your blessings upon tonight, and we will declare that these seniors' best days and blessed days are ahead of them. Amen and amen. As you prepare to be seated, if you could slide in, if there's a little bit of room in between you as you prepare to be seated, slide in just a little bit. There's a few that still do not have seats, and that'll help them out, and then we'll all be seated. Thank you. Well, good evening. We want to welcome all of our seniors, especially our seniors, our parents, and family and friends to the class of 2013 commencement service. At this point, if you'll bear with me, I want to take just a few minutes and recognize our staff, and hold your applause till the end, and you guys stand as I call your name. Is that okay? First, I want to recognize tonight our lead pastor and his wife, Randy C. Horton and Madeline Horton. Our school board member, Kim Fleeman. Our administrative assistant, Susan Burton. Our secretary, Alicia Rands. Our daycare and preschool director, Carmela Dixon. And also I want to recognize Deanette Douglas. I don't know if she made her way to the stage or not. Deanette, we're glad you made it. All right, stand up. Now for our middle school and high school faculty, Angela Browers, our history teacher. Chuck Browder, math. Kara Davis, ESE. Pam Davis, home ec. Kim Horthen, math, science, and ag. Heather Mayer, English. Chris Taylor, athletic director and PE. Miranda Taylor, middle school, English, Bible, history, and math. Now for our elementary faculty. Lisa McQueen, kindergarten. Kim Vanderstool, first and second grade. Ron Ballman, third grade. Cindy Burton, fourth and fifth grade. Bev Gonzalez, library and substitute teacher. And Craig and Carrie Bowie, elementary science. Last but not least tonight, I want to introduce our speaker to you, commencement speaker, Mayor of Lakeland, Gal Fields. Can you give him a hand for being here tonight with us? We're excited that he's here with us. Well, again, we're glad to have you here tonight. I'm Pastor Steve. I'm the executive pastor and the principal here at SCS. And this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. The seniors have worked hard to get to this point. We're going to have an exciting evening. Can you give them one more hand of applause this evening?
Tonight we would like to recognize those who have had academic excellence over their high school years. For their senior year in high school, and when I call your name, please just stand and come and receive your certificate and medal. Making all A's and B's, Anthony Davis. Making all A's and B's, Brittany Hickson. Making all A's and B's, Matthew Milfeld. Making all A's and B's, Jesse Walker. Making all A's and B's, Ariel Villegas. Making all A's their senior year, Jordan Burton. Making all A's their senior year, Aubrey Burton. Now I would like to recognize those receiving honors over the last 4 years of high school. Graduating with honors, Judson Nathaniel Mahu. His overall GPA is a 3.52. Graduating with honors, Jesse Allen Walker. With an overall GPA of 3.63. Graduating with high honors, salutatorian Jordan Taylor Burton. With a GPA of 3.92. Graduating with high honors with distinction, valedictorian Aubrey Danielle Brown. With an overall GPA of 4.0.
And the recipient of the Sunrise Christian School 2012-13 Helping Hands Award, Ms. Jordan Taylor Burke. Wow, this is good. Sunrise Christian School's 2012-13 Student of the Year, Mr. Michael Anthony Davis. Sunrise Christian School awards the 2012-2013 Fruit of the Spirit Award to Mr. Elton Devin Green. Senior Award, Sunrise Christian School Fine Arts in the area of choral music to Miss Ariel Villegas. SCS Senior Award, area of choral music, Mr. Devin Green. Senior Award, area of choral music, it's Jordan Burton. Last Senior Award in the area of choral music, Miss Aubrey Burton. One more Senior Award, certainly. Last but not least, Miss Brittany Hickson. Here we are. These awards are voted on by their peers and for recognition in a particular area of our choral program, either in the alto section or most improved musician. Our most improved musician in high school voted on by your peers for this year, Ms. Brittany Hickson. Most outstanding high school musician in the area of choral music is Aubrey Burton. And the most outstanding alto. Who else? Miss Aubrey Burton. These guys vote on. Oh, the most outstanding tenor. Wonder who that would be. Mr. Devin Green. Oh my, our most outstanding soprano voted on by your peers at this one. It's Jordan Burton. One voice ensemble, our ensemble here at Sunrise. Most outstanding musician, Miss Aubrey Burton. And lastly, most outstanding alto, Miss Ariel Villegas. We just let in every one of these. The SCS 2012-2013 Leadership Award goes to Miss Aubrey Burton. This is one of the last awards that we give every year. The Director's Award goes to the student that has exhibited leadership over the course of their high school career in the area of fine arts. And this person has certainly grown in that area, has become my student assistant, and has done a stellar job in organization and leadership and administering the fine arts program here, assisting me throughout the entire school year, choreographing our Christmas production, writing drama for our Christmas production, and doing a stellar job. The Director's Award for this year, 2012-2013 Sunrise Christian School Director's Award is Aubrey Burton.
Pray beneath my name. It reminds me of the day my life was changed. Now it is not I, but it is Christ living in me. Oh, I was lost, but now I'm found where I belong. I can never be the way I was before. Now it is not I, but it is Christ living in me. Living in me. I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you, Lord. I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you, Lord. Pray beneath my name. It reminds me of the day my life was changed. Now it is not I, but it is Christ living in me. Oh, I was lost, but now I'm found where I belong. I will never be the way I was before. Now it is not I, but it is Christ living in me. Oh, living in me. I'm changed because of you. 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 This is the life that I now live. This is the life that I now live. This is the life that I now live. I live by faith, Lord. This is the life that I now live. This is the life that I now live. I live by faith, I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you, I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you. I'm changed because of you.
Pastor Steve, Mayor Bill, distinguished guests, family and friends, the class of 2013. I'm Dr. Rita Boger, and it is one of my greatest honors and a true privilege to introduce to you the Sunrise Christian School's class of 2013, salutatorian Jordan Taylor Burton. Jordan's accomplishments have been many in middle high school. She has served on student government in the early years as a representative, then chaplain, secretary treasurer, vice president, and her senior year as president, where she has worked diligently on behalf of her classmates. She was a cheerleader, showing her great school spirit, and she played on the volleyball team, where she worked hard to improve herself and support her teammates. Since middle school, she's been an active member of the choir, worship arts team, and she's been a vital member of the ensemble One Voice. It's been a joy to watch her talent develop over the years. Her service to others for volunteer hours has been above and beyond. The choir involves close to 300 hours with tutoring, helping teachers, and working with children in many vacation Bible school programs with numerous churches. With encouragement, especially from her mother, she has branched out and tried new things. I believe that she has shown that she is capable of doing anything to which she sets her mind. As classmates, we have known her but for a few years. I have had the joy of knowing Jordan since I held her in my arms. And she has always been a unique individual. As a baby and toddler, in church, she would be passing person to person, singing, clapping, and raising her hands. So precious follows us. She'd often sleep under the pews, throw the stairs, behind the couch, or in the chair, and always in the car. She had never always sleep anywhere, regardless of the location. Once while playing hide and seek, she fell asleep behind the curtain in her brother's room, where Cindy almost called the police in a state of panic because she couldn't find her. She's been a wonderful niece, and Ted and I will always have the fondest memories of our sweet 4-year-old, cherry-faced flower girl walking down the aisle at our wedding. While their classmates may have thought she was shy, the Jordan we know has always been open, intelligent, loving, determined, and strong-willed. And I will share one story of such determination. It was just before Jordan was beginning kindergarten and we were shopping for clothes, a tradition that we kept throughout all of her school years. Cindy had mentioned in passing that Jordan had her school shots, a difficult process, much like with her sister Jenna, as neither cared for needles at all. While Cindy was shopping with the other kids, Ted and I were resting, sitting with Jordan, and we were discussing starting school and such. You have to understand that Jordan has always been extremely bright and conversational, and we often talked about many things. Somehow we started talking about baby support. Of course, trying to be as encouraging as possible. We said that one day when she finished school, including college, she would get married and have her own baby. Always concerned about pain, she asked who would hurt. And in my infinite wisdom, and trying to be truthful, I told her that it might hurt some, but it would be well worth it. Little tears welled up in her eyes. So I thought, I can fix this. I explained to her that when you have a baby, the doctor should do something to help it not hurt with something called an epidural. What is that? She asked. Well, trying to keep it at a 4 to 5-year-old level and not remembering her recent experience, I explained the doctor's gave you a small shot in the middle of your back so it didn't hurt anymore. Those beautiful blue eyes were really wide, and the tears started to pour. A shot? I have to have a shot? Then the wailing began. Not just crying, but wailing. I don't want a shot. I don't want to do another shot. I don't want to have a baby. You'd be amazed how loudly a almost 5-year-old can tell that you're sitting in the middle of the Lake Mall with everyone staring at you giving you an massacre. And Jordan was inconsolable. As I prayed to myself that no one would call the police for child services, Ted and I began frantically to tell her that she did not have to have any shots, no more shots, that she never had to have a child, and she did not want it. Finally, calming down after at least 10 minutes of wailing, she decidedly announced that she would not be having any babies ever. And for these many years since, she's not wavered from her commitment. Cindy and David, I'm truly sorry. Actually, I'm not sure if she's changed her mind on childbearing issues, but she's spoken many times of adopting those who had no others, or being a missionary, and loving the children who had no parents. And I believe that speaks to who Jordan is. She's a woman of integrity, great character, enormous compassion, and unconditional love. She's a trusted confidant to her friends, a difficult trait to find in any young person, especially in an environment where everyone knows everyone else's business. She is who she is because of her walk with the Lord, and she has a bold faith that allows her to stand strong even when times are difficult and life is trying. Ted and I have had the joy of watching Jordan grow into this incredibly beautiful, extremely intelligent, and always loving young woman. Jordan, I'd like to share with you 4 things that I hope you and your classmates will remember as you embark on this next great adventure. First and foremost, always keep your one-on-one relationship with the Lord as your first priority. Everything else will fall into place. Secondly, question everything, whether it comes from your professors, employers, or even the pulpit. You have the Word as your guidebook and the Holy Spirit as your guide, against which you can trust everything. Thirdly, live life to the fullest with no regrets. You will have many failures, and these failures help you to appreciate your many successes. And finally, invest in people, as your greatest legacy will be your relationships with others, maybe with the ones with your own children. And I just want to tell you, Jordan, when I grow up, I hope I can be more like you. I think you are amazing. My friends, please join me in welcoming the Sunrise Christian School class of 2013, Jordan Taylor.
Pastor Randy, Pastor Steve, Miss Burton, Mayor Fields, distinguished guests, family, friends, and the class of 2013. It is truly an honor to stand here as salutatorian and share my thoughts with you. Speaking for every senior, I believe that Sunrise Christian School has had an influential part in every single one of our hearts and minds. From teaching us knowledge to teaching us character that is respectable and honorable. I thank every teacher, faculty, and staff member for investing in us by instilling strong character and faith through tough love, kindness, and consideration to our needs. Each of you has given so much of yourselves to not only me, but all of us here on this stage. From academics to music to worship arts to awesome lunches from Ms. Fleeman. I am grateful for all you have so selflessly given. We honestly would not have succeeded in our high school accomplishments without each of you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And In addition to educators, there have been many individuals who have influenced and mentored me throughout my life. And I would like to take a moment to thank some of these individuals. First, I am grateful that I come from a long Christian legacy, starting with great-grandparents who love the Lord. I also have paternal and maternal grandfathers that ministered in music and preaching, living a life dedicated to the Lord. Nana, thank you for always giving me unconditional love and support. Uncle Ted, you have always been there for me, and thank you for all the clothes and financial help that supported my school activities. Aunt Dee, thank you for helping me grow academically and encouraging me to pursue excellence. Aunt Cheryl, thank you for exposing me to the world. Our travels and times together will be ones that I always cherish. Thank you to all my wonderful aunts, uncles, and cousins who have supported me as well. Additionally, I have been blessed with wonderful older siblings, Jacob, Jenna, and Jesse, along with their Christian spouses, Jessica, Brandon, and Jackie, who have supported me in all of my endeavors, as well as set a strong godly example for me to follow, for which I am truly grateful. Most importantly, I have been blessed to have amazing godly parents who have dedicated their lives to the Lord, living out their faith and beliefs on a day-to-day basis. Thank you, Dad, for being the gentle, kind-hearted, supportive father on whom I can always count. And it's truly a blessing to know that I'm your favorite daughter. It has been such a wonderful experience to grow up hearing you sing praise and worship, and I hope that I can do the same. Mom, thank you for pushing me even during the difficult times, and I know that I would not be where I am, especially standing here on this stage, without your constant support, encouragement, and motivation. I know that it has been difficult for you at times, but know that regardless of all the pushbacks from me, it has been worth every effort we have made together. As I think back over my experiences, both difficult and successful, I am reminded of a story based on Malachi 3:3. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. This verse puzzled some women in a Bible study, and they wondered what this statement meant about the character and nature of God. One of the women offered to find out the process of refining silver and get back to the group at their next Bible study. That week, the woman called a silversmith and made an appointment to watch him work. She didn't mention anything about the reason for her interest, beyond the curiosity about the process of refining silver. As she watched the silversmith, he held a piece of silver over the fire and let it heat up. He explained that in refining silver, one needed to hold the silver in the middle of the fire where the flames were hottest, as to burn away all the impurities. The woman thought about God holding us in such a hot spot. Then she thought again about the verse that says he sits as a refiner and purifier of silver. She asked the silversmith if it was true that he had to sit there in front of the fire the whole time. The man answered that yes, he not only had to sit there holding the silver, but he had to keep his eyes on the silver the entire time it was in the fire. If the silver was left a moment too long in the flames, it would be destroyed. The woman was silent for a moment, and then she asked the silversmith, "How do you know when the silver is fully refined?" He smiled at her and answered, "Oh, that's easy, when I see my image in it." This story left me speechless when I first heard it. I know that the Lord has stood with me through everything I have encountered during high school, and He will be with me as I face the unknown future. To know that God will never leave me, even in the hardest of times, gives me great comfort and courage, and I know He is working to refine me into His image. Although academics have prepared me for the future, I know that there are some things that only life and experience can teach us. And I would like to share a few of the insights that I have found to be pertinent. I've learned that we are responsible for what we do no matter how we feel. Regardless of our circumstances, we must always do what's right, and we must live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This can often be a difficult principle by which to live. when dealing with others who may not live by the same code. I've also learned that maturity has less to do with the number of birthdays one has celebrated and more to do with the types of experiences one has. I've learned that no matter how thin you slice it, there are always at least two sides to every story. And it's important to listen to all perspectives. I've learned that it isn't always enough to forgive or be forgiven by others. It's extremely important to learn to forgive yourself as well. I've learned that it can be difficult to know where to draw the line between considering others' feelings and standing up for what you believe. Finally, I have learned that things are not always what they seem. Therefore, it is important to never assume, but to determine the facts of a situation and show compassion and kindness towards others, because in the end, God is the true judge of all men. In conclusion, I have learned that surrendering everything to God is the answer to every situation I encounter. My class of 2013, this year has been fun, exciting, adventurous, memorable, and I would not trade any of the experiences we have shared for anything. Now it is time for us to face a brave new world, work hard at what we do, and accomplish our goals. Enjoy this special moment. Congratulations, class of 2013. We made it.
Mayor Fields and the SCS administration and faculty, members of our school board, to our parents, grandparents, and yes, even our great-grandparents, family, friends, and last but certainly not least, the class of 2013. In the next few moments, and if you haven't discovered that's hard for a preacher, please allow me the privilege of, and I'll use a musical term here, rehearsing with you the crescendo of a very unique young lady. I find the creative genius of God totally amazing. 18 years ago, God favored Stephen and Susan Burton with their firstborn. Her name, Aubrey Danielle. As David Gates of the famed 60s rock band Red acclaimed in their hit song Aubrey, the lyric goes something like this. And Aubrey was her name, a not so very ordinary girl or name. And so the song goes. Your name means one who rules with wisdom. As the firstborn, your birth signaled a shift that would reverberate throughout the lives your godly wisdom would grace. Aubrey, you are anything but ordinary. In fact, you are extraordinary. Having known you since birth, I've marveled at your maturity beyond your years. You have exemplified obedience when honoring your mom and dad and following their godly examples and instruction. Their application of Proverbs 22:6 to train you in the way that you should go is never more prevalent than the honor of class valedictorian you share tonight. Moving from childhood to adolescence, you begin charting a path toward achievement, action, and application. These disciplines, coupled with the attributes of wit, wisdom, and worth, served in developing your winning ways of charm, confidence, and compassion. These character traits did not come without price. They continue to be forged on the anvil of determination, discipline, and discovery. Your deep sense of faith have deposited in you a belief that one should never lean totally on their own understanding, but acknowledgement of a deeper revelation of life, that God placed you here for a divine purpose, and your challenge is to answer the call in pursuing God's plan for your life. Oh, I could speak for hours about your prowess as a student, the academic accomplishments, the 4.0 GPA, your mastery of the arts demonstrated in drama, dance, voice, and musicianship. However, the gift within you is only realized by the few, such as yourself, who dare to risk it all by loving unconditionally and forgiving. As I thought of how best to summarize your journey of life, the words of a man of deep conviction, immense experience, and whose writings cover nearly 2/3 of the New Testament, most of them written from a prison cell, for his relationship with Jesus Christ. These thoughts come to mind. The Apostle Paul penned these words that I think are apropos to where you are at present and where you go on from here. Paul said, I count all things but loss for the excellence of the knowledge of Christ Jesus my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and count them as rubbish, that I may gain Christ and be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is from the law, but that which is through faith in Christ, the righteousness which is from God by faith, that I may know him in the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his sufferings, being conformed to his death, if by any means I may attain to the resurrection from the dead. Not that I have already attained, or am already perfected, but I press on, that I may lay hold of that for which Christ Jesus has laid hold of me. I do not count myself to have apprehended, but one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind me, and reaching forward to those things which are ahead, I press toward the prize, the goal of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Aubrey, your mom and dad are proud of you. Allie and Jeremiah, well, they haven't figured out if they're proud of you yet. They just want you to move out as soon as you can so they can get your money. Your family is proud of you. Your Sunrise family is proud of you. What an awesome worship leader you are. And I can truly say as your pastor, I'm proud. You have become more like one of my own. And I'm thankful that your family has been willing to share. What a joy you are to all who know you. And tonight, we celebrate all of your accomplishments to date and laud your life of godly integrity. I tell you, never settle for mediocrity when God has destined you for greatness. Aubrey, he has great plans for you, young woman of God. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to give you the valedictorian of the class of 2013, Miss Aubrey Danielle Burton.
Pastor Randy, Pastor Steve, administration, faculty, teachers, parents, students, honored guests, and class of 2013. Some would say that tonight is the end, when in reality, it is simply the beginning of the rest of our lives. Yes, our normal everyday routine is changing. The responsibilities that are ahead of us are greater than we've known before. And for some, we're stepping out of a major comfort zone. But as we reflect on the memories we have made, the friendships that will always hold a place in our hearts, and all that has been instilled in our lives up to this point, I am assured that our future has been backed up by a strong foundation. We have been shown and taught by example the way we should live our lives. We know the road to take, and we know who to follow. But the ultimate decision is up to us. The days of most everything being decided for us are over. But the encouraging thing is, the 11 of us graduating tonight have proven that we are more than capable of achieving any goal and confidently facing any obstacle that may come our way. I believe that in some aspects, we are more ready than we think we are. We must not let the fear of the unknown slow us down on this upcoming journey. Our surroundings are changing, and what we have known for the last 13 years is now becoming a thing of the past. But the exciting thing is, we have a new chapter to look forward to. We have the privilege to continue striving towards becoming all we were created to be. The friendships and memories we have made are what we have to hold on to. There will be days we are taken back to the life we lived here at Sunrise. At some point down the road, we will remember a teacher who inspired us, a classmate who knew exactly what to say at exactly the right time, or possibly even a word that penetrated deep within our hearts during a chapel service or Bible class. These moments in time will have the ability to affect the decisions we make and how we choose to make them. Obstacles will come our way, and we will be faced with challenges. That is why the life ahead of us calls for responsibility, commitment, determination, focus, and most importantly, the realization of our need for Jesus. We have no way of being assured of exactly what lies before us, but we most definitely know who holds our future. That in itself should be our confidence and leave us feeling full of hope and expectation for a prosperous future. We must trust God to fulfill His promises in our lives. In His perfect timing, the plans He has for us will unfold. There is a time for everything. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8 says, "To everything there is a time and a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak. There's a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace." We are all aware that over time, change frequently occurs. Our first day of kindergarten was much different in comparison to our first day of high school. We used to color workbook pages and sing our ABCs, but as time went on, we learned how to write 5-paragraph essays, present research papers, and even solve algebraic expressions. We used to dread nap time, but when high school became reality, by third period every day, we wished we had just a few minutes to rest our eyes. Our perspectives had changed. We began to view even the simplest things in life from a completely different standpoint. We are all living proof that change takes its course over time. It is bound to continue to take place in each one of us as we move beyond these four walls of Sunrise. The most important question is, will we change for the better? Will we choose to make an impact and embrace each day as a gift from our Heavenly Father and another opportunity to reach out to someone in need? To my graduating class, I leave you with this. Do not take this brand new journey that we are soon embracing lightly. It requires that we are strong despite any circumstance we are faced with. Joshua 1:9 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Each one of you was created for greatness. Make the decision that you are going to become all you were intended to. Never compare yourself to anyone. When God made you in His image, He saw that it was good. Look deep within and determine that you are going to be the best Ariel, Jackie, Jordan, Anthony, Judd, Matt, Scott, Brittany, Devin, and Jesse that you were created to be. Thank you.
Guys, this is the last time we get to do this, so. Can we do it? We're gonna rock the house with this one, so y'all can just kind of sit back and enjoy. This is one of our favorite praise songs. Glory.
When you come to this place, lifting up the name of Jesus, and you hear music playing, and you see the people praising, just forget about your worries. Leave your troubles not behind you. Don't you wait another day. Just get up and walk your feet and dance it. Sing it. Get to shout. Get it out. Make it glorious. Stop the drinking. Make me. Get to shout. Get it out. Make it glorious. When you come to this place, lifting up the name of Jesus, and you hear music playing, and you see the people praising, just forget about your worries. Leave your troubles far behind you. Don't you wait another day. Just get up and on your feet and dance. Sing it, get to shout, make it loud, make it glorious. Stop the joking, break it, yeah. Make it shout, make it loud, make it, sing it, jump it, make it shout, make it loud, make it glorious. Stop the joking, break it, yeah. Make it shout, make it loud, make it
Many are the plans of a man's heart, but it is the will of God that prevails.
Amen.
Amen. I'm going to address that in just a moment. I first want to give honor to God, who is always here with us. And then secondly, I want to acknowledge Pastor Randy, Mayor Fields, other platform guests, graduating class, of 2013, parents, friends, well-wishers, boys and girls, good evening. I'm sure just by my few words, many persons would be saying, I'm hearing an accent. Well, I want to just quickly address that suspense. I am from Jamaica originally. Oh, okay, we have some Jamaicans here. But my new home is Florida, and in particular, Lakeland. And I'm so happy to be here in Lakeland, and I must say this was really a divine transition. Now, it is really my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce our guest speaker this evening, and I'm going to tell you why it is really a distinct pleasure for me. My transition here has been really, in its fullness, divine. Before I came here, there were two words that the Lord gave me: divine connection. And there are about three things that He highlighted that would cause you to identify divine connections. One is when you did not plan it. It just happened. You're in the right place at the right time and with the right persons, and you are connected. Two, when there is a seamless flow, when you're connected with these persons. And then three, there are areas of your lives that you can identify with. You can identify, and the other person, you can identify with the other person. And these three indicators were appropriately linked when I met Mayor Fields. Sunrise was the initial divine transfer connection here, and I appropriately met Mayor Fields here at Sunrise over 2 years ago. And therefore, when I say it is my distinct pleasure, it is really my distinct pleasure, because I can identify with Mayor Fields, and as you will hear a little later on, from a professional standpoint. I will tell you later on that he is from the field professionally of finance and insurance, and that has been my background before I came here to Lakeland. Secondly, from an educational standpoint, I can identify with Mayor Fields. He is an alumni of Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, and I am also an alumni of that university. And thirdly, he's the mayor of Lakeland. No, I'm not the mayor in Jamaica, right? And I was not. But appropriately, the city that I was from, Lakeland has, I think, about 5 sister cities, mayor, right? About 5. And these cities are all over the world. Jamaica is a very small country. And where I lived before I came here was Portmore. And Portmore is even smaller, so you can imagine. But somehow, in the entire world, Portmore was the 5th of the sister cities of Lakeland. So Portmore is a sister city of Lakeland, and therefore I can sincerely say it is my pleasure to be able to introduce Mayor Fields this evening. Gow Fields was born in Lakeland, Florida. In Jamaica, we would say he's a son of the soil. I'm teaching you some Jamaican today. So he was born in Lakeland, Florida. He is married to Kay, and they have 3 beautiful children: Dorian, Leslie, and Jasmine. He graduated from Kathleen Senior High School, Polk State College, formerly Polk Community College, the University of South Florida, and he holds a master's degree in business administration from Nova
Southeastern University. He is the president and CEO of Fields and Company Incorporated, doing business as Fields Insurance and Financial Group. Mayor Fields was elected to the Lakeland City Commission in 1992, and he became mayor in January 2010. He is chairman of the Utility and Airport Advisory Committees. He is also a member of the Lakeland Area Mass Transit District Board and the Transportation Planning Organization. Other hats that he wears: he is president of the Florida League of Mayors, and he's on the board of directors of the Lakeland Chambers of Commerce, the Tampa Bay Partnership, and a member of the myregions.org Board of Advisors. He is a member of the Downtown Lakeland Kiwanis, plus several other organizations. He has been inducted in the Polk County Public Schools Hall of Fame and the Kathleen High School Hall of Fame. He has received Distinguished Alumni Award from Kathleen High School and from Polk Community College. Now, when I say that many are the plans of a man's heart, but it is the will of God that prevails. We had nicely planned for me to wait on Mayor Fields, and I escorted him in and made sure that he's properly, nicely attired in his robe and everything. But we had that plan, but it was the will of God that prevailed. I saw Mayor Fields nicely sitting here, and I'm outside waiting on him. So he came through that entrance while I was at the other entrance. But it all worked out together for good, right? So therefore, I want you to just help me welcome our guest speaker, who I believe is divinely ordained to be here to just encourage our graduates today, Mayor Gal Fields.
Ms. Douglas, thank you very much for that kind introduction. I certainly don't deserve it, but I'll have to accept it. To Pastor Randy and Pastor Steve, thank you for making sure that we received this invitation, and to the Sunrise Christian School family, all of your officers and your faculty, the wonderful supporting cast of family that you have here to see this graduating class through for this great commencement ceremony. I certainly greet you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And we're glad to be able to say that in this great country of the United States of America. Amen. But to our graduates, congratulations. And you've heard some very encouraging words from your salutatorian and your valedictorian, and maybe I could just say amen and go sit down. But I would like to add a little something to what they shared with you, and I'll do it in the form of a few stories, and hopefully you can take something from that with you and add it to this great occasion this evening. But one of the things that I think was Jordan shared with you is that commencement is actually a new beginning, and that is so true. You're preparing to launch into a new chapter in your life as you close this one. But please enjoy the celebration as you close this one and you prepare to move to the next one. Some of you, I'm sure, are a little more excited and prepared than others to move to the next one. And that's okay, whether you're among those that are the most excited and the best prepared, or whether you're not so sure what exactly is going to be waiting for you as you turn that page. But know you've got a great support system that supports you and loves you dearly in your family and also in your Lord. And the first story I want to share with you is one about two students in school, one named Jane and one named John. Jane was always very well prepared and did her homework and was always looking forward to the next great assignment that their teacher gave them. She loved learning. John, on the other hand, he was a very bright young man, but he tended to want to take the path of least resistance and the easy way, or at least he thought it was the easy way of doing everything. And there was one Thursday morning, it was just before it was time to go to lunch. John had a feeling that they were going to have a pop quiz on the assignment that they had the 2 previous days, and he told Jane to please help him out. They did, and sure enough, the teacher gave him a test, had 10 questions, and they went through and answered the questions to the test, and as the teacher was grading the test, she looked at Jane's paper first, and Jane had 9 out of 10 questions correct. First 9, all correct, got down to answer number 10, and the 10th answer she wrote down, I don't know. Well, teacher eventually got to John's paper, and she thought it looked odd. John had 9 out of 10 questions correct too. That was unusual for John, because he normally didn't do his best. Didn't bring his A game every day to school. But sure enough, the teacher saw the answer to number 10, and answer number 10 gave her the answer to the great mystery of how did John do so well. His answer to number 10 was, I don't know either. I guess we can say the moral of that story is if you're going to cheat, at least be a smart cheater. And don't copy everything literally. But a more important lesson, particularly for our children today, is this is a lesson about peer pressure. John was putting a little peer pressure on Jane to help him out. And Jane caved in and helped him out. Or did she help him? Well, in our world today, it is not always easy to stand up to someone who you have to deal with on a regular basis and say no to. And she really didn't have to say no to him. What she could have said to him was yes. That, yes, John, you can do better. Yes, you need to take the time. The same time you took the plan to convince me to make it a little bit easier for you to look on my paper, you can spend your time reading the assignment. You're bright enough to do it. And even if you're not an A student, being a B student and earning a B the right way is far more fulfilling than taking a chance of getting caught copying on someone else's paper. And that would be the lesson that I would share with you from that cute little story of Jane and John. Second story I want to share with you is one that comes from the Bible. Some of us recognize it as the parable of the talents. And in this story, I won't give you a literal biblical interpretation, but we want to make it something that our students can especially remember and apply as they go forward. But for purposes of this story, and we're talking about the talents that are going to be given, we know that a long time ago there was a master who had 3 servants, and the master handed out talents, or we'll call them gifts in this case, to these 3 servants. The one we know where they received 5, the second they received 2, and the third they received 1. And I'm sure as you saw today, not every person was asked to come up and sing. You're gifted, different. I was a little bit offended that Pastor Randy didn't let me come up and sing with him either. But he probably heard from my wife that singing was not one of my gifts. And that is the same, and that is really one of the lessons from the parable of the talents. We're not all gifted the same, but we're commanded the same. Do the best you can for what I've given you. And you must understand what in fact I've given you and what your gifts and talents are, so you can go forward and do the best you can with that. And that is really the lesson that the 3 servants were given. Now, as we know, the master gave them those talents, gifted them differently, commanded them the same, and he told them, I'm going to be looking to get a report when I come back. And we're not told how long the master took to come back, but we do know he came back, and he expected reasonable progress in a reasonable amount of time. And it's just like a story of life. When all of you were in the 2nd grade, you were expected to get to the 4th grade in a reasonable amount of time. And that doesn't mean everybody will always make it in 2 years from the 2nd grade to the 4th grade. Sometimes students make some bad choices and they trip and fall, and they may bump their head, and it may take them 3 years to get to the 4th grade. But that means we're all supposed to be encouraging one another and picking each other up and helping them along the way. And that didn't come out exactly in this lesson, but that's one of the lessons that we do know that the Lord has taught us as well. And we do know that when the Lord came back, he asked for the report, and he went to the first servant, the one that originally started out with 5 talents, and he asked for a report. And for those of you that are very familiar with the store, we know that Dad's servant was glad to give the report. I've taken 5, I now have 10. We know that the master said to him, enter into the master's joy, good and faithful servant. And we know that we got a similar report from the second servant that started out with 2 talents. The Lord didn't say, why didn't you take your 2 and have 10? He rejoiced that he had taken what he had and doubled his value in a reasonable amount of time. And we should all be able to double our value in a reasonable amount of time. And with that said, we get to the third servant. Now, I'm sure that if we could climb into the third servant's mind, the third servant probably said, I don't know why you gave him 5 and not me. I don't know why you didn't give me the same talents that you gave the second servant. I don't know why he let Pastor Randy have a good singing voice and he didn't give me a good singing voice. I'm not quite sure. But that's above my pay grade. And that's just the way it is, right? And maybe if I had my own university create, I could do it a little bit differently. But that's not quite the way it is. We're probably certain that more than the excuses that were written in the Bible that servant number 3 gave probably ran through his mind. But the Lord wasn't about excuses. He was about a good report. We noted that third servant didn't have a good report. We also noted the Lord felt so strongly about giving a good report that he took the talent that his one servant had taken and buried and hid. Because he said his master, was a very harsh master and was tough. And he didn't want him to be upset for losing the one, so he had what he started with. But we know that was not satisfactory to the Lord. And by the same token, we've got a great graduating class here that has been prepared and gifted to go into another chapter in their life. And they're not going to be expected to take what they've been given and bury it and hide it. They're going to be expected to take it and double their value and bring a great report back to their master. And that is what we're going to be looking for them. We're going to cheer them on today and celebrate today, but we're going to be looking for a good report after a reasonable amount of time has gone by. Because we don't want the Lord to take what they do have now away from them and give it to someone else that has actually followed the instructions that he's given. And then the third story that I want to share is one entitled The Garden. This is a story of a young man who began his career working as a gardener. Very simple profession. And in the beginning of his career, he began assembling some tools as he worked on small gardens first and eventually worked his way up to bigger and more stronger assignments. And he began applying some creativity and doing some things that were rather unique, and he really distinguished himself as being a very good gardener, not just a run-of-the-mill workaday fellow. And eventually, as he went into business for himself and he took all the experiences he learned when he was working for someone else and was beginning to use them and the talents that he began to see that he had, he began doing some much bigger projects and working for much more successful clients himself. And one of the things he began doing was that working on one particular significant assignment that he had, he was driving by an area that was considered a wasteland. It was referred to in that neck of the woods as the rock pile because it was where people threw things away. He began to envision something that he could build that would be very unique. And so he saved up his money, and over time he was able to purchase this land that was called the rock pile. He began to envision what he could turn this into, and he had a vision for building a masterpiece, one that people would travel from around the world to come and see. And so after he had made the appropriate level of savings and began to get the resources in place that he would need, he launched out on putting this masterpiece into action and building it and bringing it into reality. And with the miracle of the sun, the soil, the seed, and the seasons, he got started. And when he finished, he had built what became known as a wonder of the world at that time. And people traveled from all over the world to have a chance to see it. And it was one young minister back in the United States who wanted to go and travel and see what the gardener had created out of the rock pile, this great masterpiece. And so he did. He paid his money, went on the tour. While he was going on the tour, he had made it his business. I've got to meet the gardener because I've got to tell him just how fortunate He is. And so after he completed the tour of the garden, he had a chance to wait in line to meet the gardener. He then went up to him and he said to him, he said, you know, you are very fortunate that the Lord has blessed you with this wonderful masterpiece that you're able to share with everyone else. But I do not want you to forget how blessed you are. And the gardener listened to him as he went through it, and I'm giving you the short version of what the young minister said to him. And when he finished, the gardener said to him, he said, you know, I appreciate everything that you said. And I believe in the Lord, and I realize that he's blessed me tremendously. He said, but I need to share something with you. I want you to hear me and hear me well. You should have seen this place, and God had it all by himself. That's something to think about. God is not going to make any of us be excellent. To the graduates, he is not going to make you excel. He's going to gift you and prepare you to do so. But he's going to leave it up to you to make a masterpiece out of your life. He's going to leave it up to you to decide if you're going to have a great report to bring back to him when he asks you for that report card. And so I'm encouraging you, do as the gardener did. Understand that you've been blessed, but understand you are also responsible. You may not have given your best every day when you came to school up to this point. Lord will forgive you for that. You're here now. And you know where you are now. And he's going to expect you to bring back a great report to him. And that's the encouraging word that I wanted to share with you today. I know your parents want to see you do well. It isn't just the Lord who wants to see you do well, but your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and uncles want to see you do well. And you got a big family here of supporters that want to see you do very well in life. But guess who else wants to see you do well? Your community and your country want to see you do well also. You live in the greatest country on the face of the earth, and it is great because of people like you who have a chance to enjoy the freedoms we've all been blessed with and gifted with. This is the only place that people are dying to try to get into. There's no other country that people are looking to climb through the fence, get over the wall, or go underneath to get into. This is it. You're already here. You've been blessed. That is part of the blessing that you have. Take it seriously. Know that that flag in this country and our ability to worship our Lord as we see fit means something. And know that God expects a great miracle from you as you're building a masterpiece out of your life. God bless you all. Thank you for giving me a chance to share with you.
Look back on times we had, I hope you smile and know that you did good and from the bad. I was on your side when nobody could hold us down. We came so far and all that won't forget. Whenever you return good times on that, remember how we held our hands so high. When love is always there for us, and we believe the time to sky. Whenever you return good times be there, remember how we reached that dream together. Whenever you when you think back on all we've done, I hope you're proud. When you look back and see how far we've come, it was our time to shine, and nobody could hold us down. They thought they'd see us fall, but we stood so tall, and no, we won't forget. Whenever you remember times on, remember how When you touch the sky, whenever you remember how we felt, remember how we reached that dream together. Whenever you started, we came so far, you know. We're so damn on, you know. Whenever you remember whatever you
I've been waiting on the sunset, girls on the mindset. I cannot get getting higher than my income's breadcrumbs. I've been trying to survive. The glow that the sun gets right around sunset helps me realize this is just a journey. Drop your worries, you're gonna turn out fine. Oh, you turn out fine. Fine, oh, you turn out fine. But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard, no it's hard to remember sometimes. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I got my hands in my pockets, kicking in rocks. It's got all the boxes like a box. I'm blind and skeptics mess with his confidence in my eyes. I'm seeing all the angles, thoughts get tangled. I start to compromise my life and my purpose. Is it all worth it? Am I gonna turn out fine? Oh, turn out fine. Fine, oh, you turn out fine. But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard, no it's hard to remember sometimes. But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. Only rainbow after rain, the sun will always come again. It's a circle, circling around again. It goes around again. I said only rainbow after rain, the sun will always come again. It's a circle, circling around again. It goes around, but you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard, no it's hard to remember sometimes. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. And keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, oh, and keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, oh, and keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, oh, sing
we're almost ready to graduate, class of 2013. Seniors, I want for just the next few minutes, you can give me your undivided attention. I know you guys are ready to party. I already have to see it in. And we're going to get there. I want to tell you tonight, salutatorian and valedictorian, you outdid yourselves. Your speeches were absolutely off the chart. Senior class, your accomplishments and challenges for the commencement of the next chapter of your lives. I want to look ahead with you and charge you in the following areas. I charge you to make a living now, but don't forget to make a life. Secondly, I charge you someday, if possible and practical, buy a house, but don't forget to build a home. Thirdly, in due season, marry the love of your life, but don't forget to nourish and cherish the life of your love. Fourthly, cultivate the gathering of knowledge as you move forward, but capitalize on the garnering of wisdom. Number 5, I charge you to make friends of many good books, but make your best friend God's holy book. 6, I charge you to advance the cause of Christ's church by serving faithfully in some capacity in the body of Christ. 7thly, I charge you to know that honesty is not the best policy, it is the only policy. 8th, I charge you to be prepared to learn quickly how smart your parents really are and honor them always. And the parents said, amen. Number 9, I charge you to keep short accounts with God and God's people. Number 10, I charge you to keep your financial house in order, for soon those bills will be yours. The parents said, hallelujah. Number 11, I charge you to live in peace with God, with others, and with yourself, and in that order. And finally, number 12, I charge you to like who you are, because you've been created in His image. In 1936, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said that to some generations, much is given. To others, much is expected. But this generation has a rendezvous with destiny. I believe that your generation and your class, the class of 2013, has a rendezvous with destiny. God has placed you here in this time with these opportunities, these gifts, for a reason. That's why my exhortation to you today is threefold. With strength, be courageous. Number 2, with faith, take action. Number 3, with hope, persevere. Class of 2013, be bold, be strong, for the Lord your God is with you. Amen.
Pastor Randy, Pastor Steve, members of the school board, faculty, and staff, the class of 2013 has met the requirements as set forth by Sunrise Christian School, its accrediting agencies, CJACS, FLOCS, and SACS, and is now congruent with the state of Florida and the laws for graduation. They are now ready to be graduated. Valedictorian, Aubrey Danielle Burton. Salutatorian, Jordan Taylor Burton.
That's my cousin too.
Michael Anthony Davis. John Dean Graham. Elton Devin Green.
Way to go, D-Man!
Brittany Nicole Hickson. Matthew Daniel Melfeld. Judson Nathaniel Mobley. Scott Joseph Thomas. Ariel Lynn Village. Jesse Allen Walker.
If everyone would stand, please, for the singing of the Sunrise Christian School Alma Mater. It is on the reverse side of your program. You may put the words on the screen, I don't know. But if you're a Sunrise Christian School alum, you can sing along with us.
From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, around the water rings where the Lord's name shall be praised. We will lift our sword and shield, and our lives will testify of our loyalty to Sunrise Christian. Oh, hail, broken
Let's bow for the benediction, child. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause His face to shine upon you. May the Lord give you His peace. You lie down and rise up, and you're going and coming. May the favor, the blessing, and the anointing of the Lord be on the class of 2013. Everything that they set their hand to, may they prosper and be in health as their souls prosper, that they might fulfill the giftings, calling, and destiny for which God has called, the prize of the upward call of Christ Jesus, their Lord and Savior. For this we give thanks, and we're eternally grateful, and we honor you tonight, Lord Jesus Christ, for your favor and your blessing upon these commencement exercises. And we launch the class of 2013 into this new season of the favor and the blessing of the Lord. Amen? Amen. Amen. If you would just remain in place for just a few moments until the seniors have exited the building. And as soon as they're out, then we'll head over for the festivities. So everyone hold for just a moment for the recessional, and we'll be out.